And if the main character is a girl, make sure she's married by the end. Or dead, either way.
Excuse me? All right, Megan's scratching her head like a maniac. We're back with Written by Women podcast, episode 10. She's so gone. That's what we came up with.
Came up with.
That's what Megan came up with, and we're gonna use it.
She's so gone.
I've been wanting to record, and she just started bolting the song.
If anyone ever watched Lemonade Mouth from Disney Channel.
Anyways, we're back. Episodes 7 through 8 came out last Thursday or Friday, depending on where you live in your time zone. And we finally have been able to watch both of them. Pretty crazy episodes, but we have some thoughts we want to give, obviously. That's why we're recording this podcast, this episode. But first, we're going to give you an overview on the episodes and what they're about. So here we go.
Episode 7, Track 7, She's Gone. As her relationship with Bernie deepens, Simone struggles to come to terms with her identity while finding her voice in the nascent disco scene of New York City. A telegram from Daisy suggests she's in trouble, and Simone drops everything to rescue her. What she finds isn't exactly what she expected.
All right, episode 8, track 8, Looks Like We Made It. As the Aurora tour begins, the band, now reunited with Daisy Jones, must come to terms with their meteoric rise to superstardom. With tension between Billy and Daisy at an all-time high, Billy's frustration simmers to a boil while Daisy's self-destructive habits turn tragic. Meanwhile, Karen and Graham's secret is revealed. All right, so that's it. We only got 2 episodes, and next week we'll also get 2 episodes, which I guess is the finale of the season. But we have some thoughts. So, episode 7 was... You want to go ahead and explain?
What is there to explain? Nothing.
Episode 7 was basically Daisy runs away from the band, and I guess really just the United States. We find her in Greece. Simone, we see her story, I guess, more evolve, and she's in New York with Bernie, the one who she met at a party. I forgot what episode it was, but it was in the very beginning. So she's there, and then all of a sudden Daisy sends her a telegram for some reason, like very old school. But she basically tells her to come to Greece because she needs her. I think that's what she said. I need you, or
Yeah.
So Simone in her head thought it was very urgent, like Daisy needs me. She goes to her, and it turns out Daisy is getting married, and that's why she wanted Simone to be there, because she is going to be her maid of honor, I guess. And Bernie, of course, goes with Simone to support her. And I guess the basis of the story in that episode is that it kind of just, it's like happy and bittersweet, but also it kind of just gets really sad at the end and kind of turns, like they said, well, I mean, that's in episode 8, but it kind of does turn tragic with with Daisy and Simone's relationship. And I guess that's really all that happened.
Yeah, I mean, I think we watch her in episode 7. She's like this. She's back to like her carefree spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you can tell that. I mean, well, we know because we watched other episodes that she's hurt, obviously, but trying to distract herself, and that's why she ended up in Greece. And she found Nikolai, right?
You're thinking about
Nicholas?
Nicky.
No, he has a full name.
Maybe it's Nicholas, but it's Nikki.
I'm going to be honest, when I read the book, I thought he was Italian.
Yeah.
He's not Italian. He's like Scottish, right? He's like some heir to he's like a duke or lord, or
Lord.
something. Like,
But everybody thinks that means he's a prince.
well, because they don't understand.
Yeah, they
but he's
don't
actually just like a
understand.
lord, which is I feel like okay. I mean, I'm not an expert in anything England or British,
Uh-huh.
but it's actually kind of common,
Yeah.
like to just be a lord. Like there's so
Like
many of them.
to own land there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's just a class of people.
Yeah.
So he's not really that special. But I thought if he was Italian, Nikolai. If he was British, Nicholas makes more sense.
Yeah.
Nicholas I hate more, so we're gonna call him Nicholas.
Okay.
So Nicholas, Nicholas, he she finds Nicholas. I don't know where I was going. I went off the tracks.
Yeah, you did.
And when Simone comes, it's kind of like brings her back to reality a little bit, or Simone at least tries to, because she's like, "This is great, Daisy, but hey, remember, you have an album,
Yeah.
and like you're about to go on tour, and you just left."
Yeah.
And kind of
you're on
being-
Rolling Stone, so
Yeah, well, just like saying like, because I mean, she definitely went to Greece to hide from all of that, but kind of being like, "Hey, remember, this used to be your life, and you can't hide from it forever," even though she wants to. And then also Nicholas. I'm sorry, every time I say it, Nicholas is like, "Yeah, she loves it here. We're just gonna stay here forever." And well, meanwhile, he's like drugging her up beyond.
He kind of gaslit Daisy with Simone.
Well, yeah, but that's a whole nother story. I also, going back to Simone, I loved seeing her story unfold and like her develop herself and like her different version. We saw that she like obviously we know she has her problems finding success and like recording an album and stuff in LA. She comes to New York and she does it a whole different way with Bernie, where they're making these records as like she produces these songs and just handing them out to people that way, and not like mass producing it through like a record company, but more like intimate in a way, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so I love that about her, because like that makes sense, right? And it doesn't have to be I like that the other pathway, if you will, like that portrayal. But yeah, she comes to Greece to help Daisy, and she tries to tell Daisy like, "Hey, like you need to come back, basically. Like this is your job."
Or like what you wanted.
She was like, "I'm going back," and she's like, "Why?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Because I have a job, and you also have a job. If you don't remember."
Yeah, like you have to pay rent. You have responsibilities back there. And Daisy obviously doesn't want to have those responsibilities, but it's also a part of her.
She has this idea in her head that Nikolai, Nikki, whatever you want to call him, Nick. What he put in her head, that Simone was like in love with her, and to me that was so gross, because that's like one of the things that in the queer LGBTQ plus community, they always, you see and you hear and you listen to them always talking about it, that like, may be attracted to the same sex, but like I'm not always like that. Does that make sense? Like you don't have to, just because I have a friend that's a girl and I'm like into girls doesn't mean that I'm gonna
like into all
that
girls.
I'm attracted to every girl. And I didn't think Daisy was gonna care too much about that, but then it did get in her head, especially when Simone was like disagreeing with her and trying to help push her back that way, where she was like, "Are you in love with me?" And then she's like,
"I can't believe you just asked me that."
But then later on the episodes, and the way that episode ends between them two, she's like, "I do love you, Daisy." And at that point, you're like, it's not the love.
It's not a romantic.
It's not the romantic love like they were like pretending, or Nicholas was putting in Daisy's head, right? That's not what she's saying. I love you as a friend. Like I'm probably the person that knows you the most. And I kind of loved that line where she was like, true love is, telling somebody the truth even when they don't want to hear it. So I'm going to tell you the truth.
And I was like, oh.
And like, it's so obvious that she's also saying that Nicholas is lying to you.
Yeah. Like, you can stay here and do whatever you want, but I don't really think that this is what you want to do.
Yeah.
She told her.
But then they
straight.
did end up going back
Yeah.
because she was like, I do need to go back to Tor. And then Nicholas, because he's obsessive and possessive, is like, I'm
coming with you so you won't get hurt.
Yeah.
But
Which, like, in maybe when you're watching it, you're like, no, that's kind of cute. But then you're like,
yeah, side-eyeing, like,
interesting.
interesting that you say that, because
Yeah.
what happened next is not what's happened. So
that pretty much is the same as the book, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We didn't see, I don't think Simone came.
no.
Or did she?
She called her, I think, like sent something, like she communicated with Daisy somehow, but
Yeah.
it wasn't that. I don't think that she went there.
No.
I think like it was like a letter or something, like, hey, you need to come back. Like, I don't know where you are.
Yeah.
But I think because the thing was that Simone, she knew about she didn't know where Daisy was before she got the telegram, because Teddy, the producer, was kind of concerned about Daisy, you know, like, hey, we're supposed to go on tour, but Daisy Jones, like, we have no idea where she is. But Simone, because she's like so consumed with her own life at this point and her own like problems and issues and aspirations and ambitions, doesn't really like think about it until she gets that telegram from Daisy, and then that made her feel like she needs to do something. So then that's whenever she went to Greece. But that's basically how it ends, the episode.
And then they reach down, and you can assume it looks like Malibu,
Yeah.
driving on the Pacific Coast Highway.
And then episode 8,
Mm-hmm.
the beginning was just so funny in my opinion, because Daisy walks into the studio ready to record with them or rehearse. I guess, yeah, it was rehearsing. She's ready to rehearse, and they already made up their mind on the songs, but she wants certain songs. But obviously Billy's like putting her in her place, being like, you weren't here, so you really don't get an input on any of this.
Yeah.
And that's whenever she cussed him out, and it was pretty funny. But she definitely was like different after she came back, I think, into the band. And then after that, we go immediately into the tour and all the negotiations that they went into of wanting different buses. And
Which I liked that, because
that was in the book.
That was in the book, but not that way. It wasn't, what's his name? Was his name Rod?
Yeah, Rod, the tour manager.
Rod is the one that's like, well, why don't you just get different tour buses? And they're like, that's a good idea. In the book, it wasn't like that. I think they were just like,
they just got different tour buses.
I think they wanted different tour buses.
Yeah, they got different tour buses, though, because they'd get their way.
Yeah, in the book. But I liked how it was
more noticeable.
How they made it, like, kind of seamless or, like, make sense in the show.
Yeah.
That part of it.
And I like seeing the difference between the buses, because, you know, Billy wants to stay confined to himself.
I don't think that was in the book, though, because the book just showed them
they were like
separate.
Yeah, and they were, I think it was like maybe a little bit even.
Yeah, like Graham.
There were some people on Billy's bus, too.
Well, probably when Pete was there.
Yeah.
Graham, Pete.
Probably Karen, and
no.
I don't know.
Karen. I don't remember, but it was even.
Yeah, it wasn't just Billy by himself.
Versus the show is like so distinctively like, this is Billy's sober bus and this is Daisy's party bus.
Yeah. So if you want to party, you gotta
go in Daisy's bus. But if you want to be Grandpa, go to Billy's bus.
Yeah, that was funny. And then they went on tour,
which they did a good job of making me feel bad for him.
Yeah, they did. He like goes on his little run because it's like the only thing that he can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they go on tour, and we do, before that, they go on tour. They have like little moments here and there, Billy and Daisy. We see Nicky. I'm going to call him Nicky, not
Nicholas.
I'm not going to call him Nicholas. I don't want to.
Nicholas.
Nicky, okay?
Nicholas.
Sounds like so like formal.
I like it. I like it better. It makes more sense. Nicholas.
But he like looks at, you know, Daisy and like carrying waste. You're like, aw. But then behind the scenes, we see him, you know, like doing crazy stuff with her, doing the drugs, smoking the coke.
Not smoking the coke.
doing coke,
Snorting the
snorting. You can tell I don't.
smoking the coke.
Smoking the coke. Yeah. Hopping the bobby. Sorry. I'm embarrassed. Anyways.
This is funny.
So they did that a lot. And then that kind of got into the shows. But we do see that Billy hits Nicholas.
No,
yeah. When he's in trouble, he gets Nicholas, which is like
Nicholas.
all the time. So that was pretty intense.
yeah, well, I think, like, even though we hate him and he's not very, like, I don't know, he's just not our favorite person ever, even though that we do love him at the same time because he does still have, like, a part of him that cares for Daisy.
Yeah.
And that's evident through his, like, caring personality or
Yeah.
that little taste that we see of him being
Protecting
like,
her.
she's obviously not okay. And he's not gonna be like super, you know, like, take care of yourself. You know, he's
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? Like, you shape up, you know. And a lot of times, I mean, Camilla was like that with him as well, kind of like
Mhm.
not soft about it, not calm, but just like a slap in the face, like, wake up, get yourself
Yeah.
back together.
Yeah.
And I feel like he was trying to do that with Daisy, but obviously. And Nicholas doesn't give a rat's ass.
Yeah. Well, it's like she has like there's a barrier between her because he is there. You know, like he can't.
Nicholas?
Yeah.
Well, Nicholas wants her to be like that.
Yeah.
Because when she's like that, she's more fun. Obviously, he says she's more herself, but she's not there
Yeah.
as much.
Yeah.
Which he doesn't realize.
Yeah. But then Billy's like, I need her to shape up because she's messing up the songs.
Yeah.
She's not performing her best, which affects us.
Which
because
that is before she, like,
Yeah.
that show. I forgot where it was. Where was that show? I don't remember. But she, like,
I don't
is high off her mind and she bumps into the Warren's drum set and her knee gets all banged up. And
Yeah.
Billy takes her off the stage, wraps her up, and is like, you're done. And then
And-
they start cheering her name, and so she goes back on.
Yeah.
And then she spends the rest of the night getting more high.
Yeah.
Which that scene we have to talk about was different from the book.
Yeah.
If you haven't read the book, what happens, it actually results in Nicholas and Daisy never seeing each other again,
Mhm.
is that Daisy wakes up in the bathroom after probably overdosing, really.
Yeah.
The same situation, but no one finds her. She finds herself, obviously, in the bathroom, doesn't remember what happened,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not sure where. I think Nicholas was there.
I think she
I think he was, like, asleep or something.
yeah.
Or he left her.
He left her, but like she remembers him leaving her.
Yeah.
No, it's like I can't believe I thought that this was love when you're not gonna care for me.
Yeah, when leaving her in the bathroom to die, basically. So she actually ends up leaving him,
Yeah.
and that's how that ends. But in this one,
It's completely different.
yeah. In this one, Billy goes in to talk to them
Yeah.
with Rod, and Nicholas answers all frazzled and he looks distressed. And then he wasn't letting them in, but Billy's like, let him in.
Yeah, and somehow he allowed
Yeah, and then they
Girl.
finally got in because they were then worried, obviously, by looking at Nicholas. And then they find Daisy in the bathroom, unconscious because she obviously overdosed. And Billy gets all worried.
Nicholas ends up packing his bag.
Yeah, which I think it's because, like, he doesn't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, or he doesn't want to be here. Like,
I think he just doesn't. I mean, it's a thing, right? And, like, you see Rod calling in a secret code saying, was it Dr. blah, 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 tell him that Rod, blah, 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 has a toothache.
Yeah, code word toothache.
Toothache in room, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so that was what happened. Obviously, I mean, again, it's like the 70s music scene. That shit happened all the time.
All the drugs and the alcohol and
Yeah.
that whole.
But so what I was thinking, what the difference between the book and the show
Mm-hmm.
in my head, I think it works for the show and it adds this other essence to the plot.
Mm-hmm.
More of like this romantic connection, commitment situation adds another layer to Billy and Daisy's relationship. But I think by Daisy finding herself in there and choosing to leave also in the book gave her a strength that we don't see in the show.
Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, this is probably going to happen. You're going to see this in the next episodes is that Daisy finds and she's like, oh, I want to help myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I assume that's what's coming after this.
Yeah.
But that's what made it even more powerful because she's the one that found herself and she was the one that left and she was the one to realize I do need help and I need to stop doing this, right? And even though she went to Billy for that, this situation, it's almost like, I mean, it's so slight that you really don't have to care about that difference. But in this situation, Billy found her. Yeah. She's going to go to Billy after this saying, I need help. I want to straighten up. Yeah. So that's the only thing that I thought about.
Yeah. I agree. I wish that I'm not like mad at them for changing that, but I think with her, because she basically in the book saved herself. And I think in her position and how she wasn't messed up, but she just wasn't okay really at that point, mentally and probably physically because what she was consuming in her body. But the fact that she had that strength to realize, okay, I am leaving this man, I am gonna help myself and figure this all out.
Well, it's like it's a dynamic of abusive relationships. The strength, which not a lot of the time does that happen, where you are able to leave. And and especially for her, where what do you call it? Narcotics is what you call drugs. Narcotics. I think that's another word for drugs.
It is.
We're looking up a lot of words today.
Yeah, fancy words. Oh.
No.
Not
narcotics.
Not that word.
But just drugs in general, like where that is like manipulation in that as well. There's another like essence dynamic to that situation. Yeah. But she, like, again, like you said in the book, she's able to leave that. But in here,
it's like because she knew that Billy saved her, that means that she's gonna go to him to help her.
Yeah, or he's just gonna know this part because before it was like her and Nicholas are rainbows and sunshines and doing okay. Yeah. Versus like and then him now, I mean, I guess it makes sense for the show because he was slowly being like, come on, like she was doing too much, Yeah, so now it's gonna be like,
I feel like he's gonna go like on like dad mode or something.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. I mean, in these next 2 episodes, this is the finale, so a lot has to happen. I'm curious to see how it's gonna lay out. I hope they're each like an hour long.
Yeah.
Because we still have like 2 of the most major plot points of the entire story because that has to happen.
Because also in the 8th episode, sorry, I keep on getting them mixed up. Karen and Graham were revealed, but their big thing hasn't happened yet. So everything it's gonna be like boom.
Yeah, everyone.
Like it's like a like it's just gonna be like raining fire at this point because like I think it was revealed after that happened.
I fall apart.
Wow, that's gonna be their
Talk
song.
Too much down.
But right, didn't that happen in the book?
What?
That what happened with them was revealed. They were revealed after to the band after that happened.
No, I don't remember when they were revealed, so don't ask me.
But I thought it was kind of cool how Karen stood up to Graham.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
That was another, I guess, misconception, stereotype.
Yeah.
Of
gender,
of gender and sexuality
Yeah.
that was shown through them.
which I thought was
You're
kinda
gay
cool.
because you don't have a girlfriend,
Yeah.
you know.
Little do they know.
Little do they know, but also toxic.
Yeah.
That and the "You're in love with me," just two examples. You know, and good for them for showing it because I feel like those are two of the most, like even in modern day, those are still
Yeah.
used. So good for them, but also
Yeah.
tisk.
Yeah. Well, it's like I love Warren, but sometimes that man says really just
He's toxic.
he's toxic, you know? And he's just there. But sometimes what he says, I'm like, Warren, you got another strike.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
Strike 2 right now.
Yeah, yeah. Is he gonna hit the third
The
strike?
first strike was when he told
Talk about
Karen, right? Told Karen. It was either Karen or Camilla.
he has
told them
like
to-
three strikes now. Then
What was the one that you were thinking about?
well, whenever he was talking about Daisy's legs, remember in the studio,
So he's out. Actually.
he's actually out of he's out of our
It was the legs.
out
but
of
also
our
he
list.
said something to Camilla like, "Oh, like cook me up something." Or,
Oh,
"Give me a
yeah,
sandwich,"
yeah,
in the
yeah.
beginning. So he's actually out.
He's out. 3 strikes and that man
Warren,
is
we love
out.
you, but you're toxic.
Yeah. And Eddie does not help him
No.
either. They're like this, like ding, ding, ding. They like bounce off of each other.
Yeah. She's trying to get around.
It's over now, Jess. It's over. So I think that's about it. Oh, and then we had a moment between Eddie and Camilla because obviously, like we talked about in the last episode, it's obvious that something happened between them. And I'm guessing that they did it probably a couple more times after
Well, they said only
met.
one time in their discussion.
did?
It happened once and never again. I don't
Okay.
regret it, but I won't do it again.
Okay. Then I guess it was only once, but they had a little interaction. But yeah, so they had like a little interaction, which I was kind of nervous that Billy was going to come out because he was like sober enough, you know, to like be aware of those types of things, but that didn't happen. So thank goodness. But I'm guessing we're going to get the Billy Eddie slap.
Well, in
Next
photos that the
episode.
actor has posted, he has a black eye.
Yeah. So that
And also there is, based on what we've also seen, like the band members also like push Nicholas away from
Yeah.
Daisy, so I assume he comes back. Which, if that does happen, then that's different from the book too. Because again,
Yeah.
Daisy just left him, and it was
like
cut off from
we're
there.
done. And then she got a divorce from him.
yeah.
And that
But
was it.
it looks like this one he comes back. So, well, obviously
Yeah.
because he left on his own terms.
Yeah.
But the band is probably gonna find out and know all that and be like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. I feel like that's probably gonna happen early in the 9th episode, if anything, because there's
Yeah.
just so much that
Well, it
has,
has
to
to
be
happen in the 10th.
unpacked. Like a whole lot of shiz. So
Yeah. So stay tuned.
yeah. Our last week next week. This week.
And then we'll
actually,
watch it all
but-
over again.
Yeah, we'll watch it all over again. But maybe we'll do like a little thing on Instagram or something. I don't know about our thoughts reading or watching it the second time. But you won't want to let's talk about it again. But yeah, so stay tuned for this coming week with Daisy Jones and the 6 episodes, 2 episodes. It's the finale.
Thursday, not at,
Oh yeah,
it won't be
Yeah.
at 4 Pacific time, will be at 5
5,
Pacific time
because-
because of daylight savings.
that was so.
Because they don't adjust time for us privileged Americans.
But it was so funny because Prime Video on their social media changed.
You can
like,
tell
they
that everybody
posted-
is set in the United States
Yeah.
because everyone's like 4 o'clock, and
Yeah.
everyone else is like it's still 11 in the UK.
Yeah.
So I
Or
don't
they're
know
like
what
the
you're doing.
episodes are out, and they're like, "Where is it?
Yeah,
Give it to me!" But they weren't out. They were out at 5.
yeah.
So 5 Pacific time. So that's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Mhm,
So now you know, hopefully.
mhm.
And we'll see you next week. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and we'll see you next week in the next
Bye.
episode. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.